right, starting stream. Hello, Internet. Welcome to the Awesome Wood Things channel. This is another All Things YouTube show. I am super excited to have you here. There is an amazing show lined up for you. I got a huge slide deck about the Patreon platform and jam-packed with information. You are going to love it. Before we get started, I'd like to thank a few people who support me. I have some supporters on Patreon. I have 4 people that have YouTube channels on Patreon. That is Osprey Mama, Javi's Woodshop, Driveway Workshop with Jim Bashirs, and Shane Cole from Shane's Hobby Shop. Shane's the new addition over there on Patreon. Also, 3 people on Patreon have websites. That is Harneal Media at makersmedianetwork.com. I am a proud member of Makers Media Network. Jerry Brown from Polly Once a Crafter, and Mr. Mike Laffey from Maybe I've Said Too Much.com. Dylan's Woodworks is here. Harneal Media is here. Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop. That is Mr. Al Forte. You can find him on Twitch at Kilroy79763. Al is nice enough to be in my earbuds today. He is speaking to me through the power of Discord, and you will not be able to hear him, but he's going to help me watch the chat room. Remember, in the chat room, do the @ sign, do @AwesomeWoodThings. That makes it glow. That helps me see it, but Al is watching it too, because there might be a whole lot of questions, because it's going to be a jam-packed show. Jim Dockrell's here, rockin' Woodworks. That's Eloy Escajedo. He says, hello, my maker friends. Marcel Workshop's here. Hi, Marcel. Check this out. Marcel Workshop. He was a generous maker who gave me not 1 but 2 gifts. So thank you for the gift you sent me, and I'm getting another one delivered because I burned the one down. It was a electronic piece of equipment, and there was fire and sparks and smoke, but that's all fun stuff. Dave Gatton's here. Hi, Mr. Dave Gatton. He's the CNC guru, well, one of many in this crowd. Oh my goodness. Oh, I am so excited about this show. I have to get some video editing done. I've noticed my channel is kind of like, it went down a notch, like on average, like the graph of watch time, like was normally here. Now it's kind of like lower. I got to get new video out there, but instead of editing a video, I was working on the slide deck I'm going to show you about tonight's topic, which is crowdfunding sites, specifically Patreon. There's a lot of weird things and concerning things happening, and I'm going to tell you what you need to do and explain what's happening, because it's going to be really, really good. Yeah. Al says, sounds like me letting the smoke out. There was fire. Oh, I'm savvy with this type of stuff. I'm certainly a web developer. I got the code side down, and I know my way around soldering and things. But hey, happens to the best of us, I guess. So, okay, what we'll do is we'll start out with a little bit of news, and then we'll roll into the topic. And once this topic gets going, it's going to go real fast. Brenda G's here from Brenda G's Designs. She's my co-host on Thursdays, 7 p.m. on her channel, Brenda G's Designs. This is just a fun show where we talk about interesting facts that you might not know, and we solicit people to tell us interesting facts that will blow our minds. And it's a support stream, too, where we try and find new channels and support them. 7 p.m. on Thursdays. Myself and Miss Brenda G from Brenda G's Designs. Okay, let's see. The news. There was not a lot of news, but one thing I really want to talk about is there was an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, and it was from the developers of YouTube. The YouTube developers were there and the people that are in charge of the algorithm. And people asked all kinds of good questions. And I am happy to say what I've been advising all of you to do was right on the money. But there were a few new insights. Let me kind of go over. And this is straight from YouTube. Like, this isn't speculation, because when you come to the algorithm, you kind of do like a roundabout, sleuthy, kind of kludgy, kind of, I suspect there's my hypothesis, it works this way. And we got the answers. We got the answers right from the nerds that kind of put this together. Let me see which one. I got 3 fun facts here. Suggested. They were asked a question, how do I get my video to be suggested? Because that's kind of like what you want. You want your video to be shown to new people in suggested videos. And they have 4 tips. Good tips. Good tips I've been saying all along. They said, at the end of your videos, make strong calls to action and encourage the viewer to watch another video in your series. That's a good tip. Tell people to watch more of your stuff. Number 2, avoid overlong endings that delay viewers from watching more. In other words, end your video. Boom, cut it off. It should be abrupt and sudden. No 25-second end screen with nothing very interesting happening. That was right from the developers. Consider using playlists, links, cards, end screens to promote another one of your videos. Perfect. And develop a series or a show of video, that can be organically connected together. Great information. And it's what I've been saying. Good to have it confirmed. If you pick only one thing to focus on, this is a new tip, it would be creating content that satisfies viewers and keeps them coming back. That's the most important thing. Content that satisfies viewers and keeps them coming back. And here is a new piece of information, brand new. I'm really psyched about this. The question was, does editing a title, description, or thumbnail after uploading affect how the video is recommended? And the thinking was, you change some metadata and it wrecks the momentum. Like, the whole thing resets. It's like, uh-oh, something changed. I better and then we learned it was okay to do the thumbnail. The thumbnail had no effect on, any trending or type of effort they have pushing it out. Now we know nothing matters. You can change the title, you can change the description, you can change anything you want, and the only impact it will have is if your change is better or the same or worse. But just the fact of changing any of the metadata does not wreck any trajectory it was on in promotions. Good to know. So they say, if you want to add to your description, add to it. And they've also made several references that tags don't matter. Not that they don't matter. It's very clear the tags themselves are a weak. They still matter, but they matter far less than anything else. So Al was asking me if the tags get into the algorithm. If the tags get into the algorithm, they do get into the algorithm, but they get into the algorithm at a very small impact. That's the best answer that they were. A weak weight. Yes, that's a good way of clarifying it. Mr. Al Forte from Kilroy79763 on Twitch. Thank you. Yes. Hey, if you haven't, drop a big old like on this video. That would help me out a lot. All right. So Al's going to be watching this chat, and we are going on about 10 minutes in, and I am going to start this presentation, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be crazy. All right, let me get this going. Full screen myself over here. Oh, there we go. Take myself away. So this is going to be our topic. And I'm going to run through these slides quick. And if there's a question, which there'll probably be lots of questions, do the @ symbol, awesome with things, so it's noticeable, and Al will try and throw questions at me as you ask them. If I may not answer all questions immediately, like if I see it's going to come up in the next slide, I might not answer it, or I might come back to it, or I might answer right in the middle of the session. But what's up with Patreon? This is the topic, and we are ready to go. Let's see what we got going here. Buckle up. It's going to be a crazy ride. So first of all, let's just take just a brief moment. Just hang with me. Just a brief moment about what Patreon is. Here's a guy, Jack Conte. He's the CEO. He runs the place, okay? What does he say about Patreon? Or what does he say about how it came about? Well, he wanted a button on his website that people could send him money when he makes videos, and it was an encouragement for him to keep making videos. This was the concept behind Patreon. Simple. Take money from people who want you to keep making money. Marcel says, do I like the color green? Heck yes. So here we have a creator. Look at this beautiful creator over here. Very handsome. This is Mr. Pat Lapp's face. So he's running his plane in his on his workbench, cranking out videos. That's the creator, okay? So what is Patreon? Then we've got your fans. So the fans love the creator, and the creator loves the fans. Look at those little heart icons. Aren't they cute? And what do the fans want to do? The fans want to give money to the creator. So then Patreon says, hey, why don't the fans pay Patreon, and then we'll pay the creator? And then they also are this go-between of these payment processors, Stripe, PayPal, Square, and other players like MasterCard. So they kind of handle that, and then they pass the money on to you. So the question is, why use it? Why use Patreon? Well, there's a couple good reasons. First is they have a tiered system of rewards the creator can give their patrons. So people who give a little bit of money can have access to these special things, and so it's a way to give extra value to people who support you the most. It's a good system, and it's a stable system, and it works, and it's good. What else does Patreon do? Well, they have easy monthly payments, and that really is the ticket. I mean, Americans love automatic payments. So you can get someone on automatic payments. It's a good proposition all around, and it's built right in, and it's wonderful. And Patreon also gives 90% of the cash to the creator. You can't see my Pat Lap up there. Okay, so now I'm gone. We'll go into center. All right, so 90% of the money goes there, and that's fun. And then what else happens? Patreon obviously takes 10. 10% is what's left over. But that's not all. About 5% of that goes to the payment processors, because the payment processors have to take money. So this is really the business model, right there. Now, interestingly enough, now remember that 10% that the creator's not getting? Kind of put that in your brain for a second. It's very possible to do this. Look at this. You can set up PayPal on an easy monthly payment. Whoop, I'm in the way. You can set up PayPal on an easy monthly payment, and PayPal will only take 2.9%. Well, 2.9% and 30 cents per transaction. I guess around less than, anyway. And you'll get 97.1. That's a much better proposition. But PayPal does not have the tiered system. So it's not the best option. Now, here's just a fun little aside. The market share of payment processors. This is just a fun little statistic. PayPal's the big player. Like, they are the top dog in this fight. Stripe's got a good market share, and everyone else just has crumbs. So these are the percentages of transactions, and all my stuff is sourced, by the way. So you'll see these links. If you go to those links, this is the accurate information I'm giving you. Just a heads up. Okay, so that was a fun little thing. Now, let's look at the business side of Patreon, okay? So, and see, this is the stuff that fascinates me. I love the tech news, and I love this information. So what does Patreon have? Like most businesses, they have investors. Let's look at the investments, all right? This is what happened. This is what they gave. 2.1 to start the place, 15 million, 29 million, 59 million, some quick back of the napkin math, 105.9 million. That's how much investors gave to Patreon. And here's what they earned. So now we've got to put that aside. Now we'll move on to the profit. So in 2013 through 2019, through the end of last month, so this period here, 25 million is the profit they earned, okay? So all the transactions, that's what they kept. Remember, they keep 5%. They take 10, they take 5 and give it to the payment processors, and they keep 5 for themselves. 25 million is what they've kept over that number of years. And they're doing really well. And now, by the end of 2019, so the end of this year, they're going to make another 25 million. So in the 6 years they're going to be around at the end of 2019, they'll have $50 million is what they will have earned. That's their 5% slice, okay? So look at that. Everything's going up. They make 25 million from 2013 to 2019, and at the end of 2019 they're going to make another 25 million. Pooh, man, it's all sunshine and rainbows. Everything's looking good. Right? No. They're in debt 105.9 million. So these happy little investors, they're going to want their money. There's still a lot of money on the table. And they've burned through the first 25 million, they got things to do. So so Patreon is in trouble. They are in trouble. I know it sounds like sunshine and rainbows and unicorns, but let's look. Now, Matt, how do you know they're in trouble? You're just looking at numbers and you're speculating. Oh no. Look what Jack Conte said. This is his quote. Patreon CEO says company's generous business model is not sustainable as it sees rapid growth. Not sustainable? Generous business model? Okay, first of all, generous business model, they keep 10%. 10% is what they keep. Remember, PayPal will only take 2.9. 2.9 is a lot less than 10. And then not sustainable? Okay, well, like, why? Why is it not sustainable? So again, let's look at everything we know. They're going to earn 50 million by the end of 2019. They still owe 55.9 million. And that's at the end of this year. That's a crap load of money. They're going to be like, give us our money. And we want interest, because investors don't invest just to get exactly what they want, just exactly what they paid back out of it. They want more than what they've paid. That's why they're investing. So, like, what the heck? Won't say it. And again, so this is what we're talking about. Money comes in, 90 goes to you, 10 goes to here, 5 goes. It should just keep raking on in. Like it's a money pot. It should just be on autopilot. So here's what Patreon, it's a website. So this is a web server. And on the web server, they have text because, people write details about their posts, and they mostly link to content. Like the content, like these heavy video files are not on Patreon servers. They're just links out to, so running a video service where you actually hold onto the video and play, that's a expensive proposition. I'm surprised YouTube is handling it. Now, to be fair, they need accountants, they need marketing and artist people, they need tech people, they need to pay for their servers, they need to pay for the CEO, and they have 300 employees. Oh, and this is the 40-second slide, so I always put the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thumbnail for 42. Yeah, Frankie says bail them out. Well, let's keep going. So the money should just keep rolling in. Like, in other words, will they need 600 employees if they double the throughput? Probably not. It's a simple website. But, they're going to want their money. Give us our money. They're going to come knocking. So what will Patreon do? Okay, here we go, folks. What will Patreon do? And again, this isn't Matt speculating. Let's hear what the CEO said right out of the horse's mouth. Patreon needs to build new businesses and new services and new revenue lines in order to build a sustainable business. And then I'm like, here we go again. So it should just be the money tree. They should just be like raking that 5% in. So what are they going to do? They're going to add value services for things like merchandising to generate revenue. And then they'll be given an opportunity to participate, and it could ultimately reduce Patreon's generous 90% payout. Again, they're like, look how generous we are. We're only keeping 5%, or 10. But look at this. Teespring. This is the Teespring logo. Teespring is already integrated. Let me get my little face out of there. Teespring is already integrated into YouTube. Now, you got to have, 10,000 subscribers. You have to reach a milestone in order to get this. But look at this. To the right is the YouTube interface, and right there on the interface is merch. Why would you want to use Patreon's system when you could instead integrate it right into the platform? So this is moving fast here, folks. And then look at this. YouTube memberships. If you have a high enough sub count, you can turn on memberships with that join button. Do you remember seeing that join button? That's all over the place on some channels. That is essentially a Patreon clone within the YouTube system. Now, here we go. Disturbing statements. Now this is going to get crazy. It's going to get nuts. All right, so let's see what disturbing statements Patreon has made. Okay. The company does not currently provide contracts, which allows user to retain 100% ownership of their work and full control of their brand. In other words, if they provided contracts, you would not be able to keep 100% ownership of your work, and you would not be able to keep 100% ownership of their brand. And again, I'm like, what? Why would Patreon create a service that would reduce my 100% ownership of my work or reduce my full control of my brand? That's what they're saying. They're like, this is our roadmap. This is what we're thinking about. Let's offer services where Patreon can own your stuff. What? So in other words, The future Patreon services, ownership of your work? Question mark? Or you would lose full control of your brand? Like, this is rage level rising, folks, here. Like, what are they thinking? Why would you even... Oh. And so here's a couple more disturbing things. Now, this context is, I know it's small here. They were talking about banning people. So what did Jack say about banning people? He says, we're talking about the authority to remove a person's income. And you could say that maybe, Matt, this is a bit of a stretch. But the reason I put this here is like, the way this comes off is as it's him giving you your income. It's Patreon giving, it's not the creators are giving you your income. So this just kind of rubs me the wrong way. Not a huge point. And he kind of said something a little similar. Patreon will send content creators more than $500 million to fund their membership businesses in 2019. Patreon will send. Again, that's sort of, that makes it sound like Patreon's giving it to you. No, the creators give you the money. They do their little, they work with the payment processors and they slide you and they take a small cut. Now this is the head of the trust and safety team, Jacqueline Hart. And she said, but at the end of the day, it's about us paying creators. That's our mission. That's our mission is what we're trying to say. And again, it's like us paying creators. It's just the wrong way. It's like, hello, we don't work for you, Patreon. You work for us. So like, this is the pecking order. You know, it's fans are at the top. Creators are serving the fans. And then we have Patreon providing the creators a service to do their little tiered system and to like make payments processing easier. You know, that's the way it is in reality. This is the way Patreon thinks it is. This is fantasy. Patreon's the king. They're serving the fans, and you know, creators are at the bottom of the heap. That's based on those statements that I read you. This is my interpretation of their thinking. So now we're at speculation. Okay, so now I'm jumping. Now we're moving away from factual statements, and we're moving on. So this is what they could do. Oh, you want to get paid fast? You'll pay us more. If you want your money slower, we might not charge you. Just speculation. This could be what's happening here. Here's some more speculation. Patreon is trying to become an MCM, a multi-channel network. You know what those are? Like some multi-channel networks are hooked in to content creators and they're supposed to provide you valuable services and, you know, assets, and they're supposed to like give you legal help. You know, if there's a problem with a copyright, like they're on your team, like they send all their hounds, you know, there's a value proposition. Basically, they're turning out to be awful. No one likes MCMs. And if you look at Defy Media, this is the logo for Defy Media, do a Google search for Defy Media and see what kind of cluster mess that is. That's a huge MCM that didn't pay out. They hid their money. They shut down. It was horrible. But they're trying to be an MCM for everything. Like everything you do online, Patreon wants a cut, is the speculation of what might happen. So in other words, they want to be a store. They want to maybe host their own videos. They might want to be a messenger service. They might want to be their own social media network. They want to own you. And I'm like, no, that is not going to happen. Remember, Patreon, you're here. You're at the bottom. You are not the top dog. So here's another interesting tidbit. Payment delays. Have you been following this? So there were 4 days of system-wide outages. And this could just be something unrelated, but it's money related, so it sounds like there's money problems. So they took the site offline. The payments were processing slower. And then they came out with this email that I got. You could go to a payout advance. So in other words, due to system problems, they'll give you a loan, it's like a loan shark type thing. It was real. I mean, I'm glad they did something, but they were like, well, since you've got pledges, we'll presume at least 90% of them are going to be valid, and then we'll kind of prepay you until the system actually does its job and actually gets processed. Their whole point is to be a payment processor go-between. Like, that's their value proposition. We'll deal with PayPal so you don't have to, even though it's super simple just to deal with PayPal. So what should you do? Here we go, folks. This is what, okay, Matt, you're scaring the bejesus out of me. Tell me what I need to do. This is the section. First, don't panic. Don't panic. And that's another reference to Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Thumbs up for geek culture, baby. Come on. So I would recommend you ensure Patreon is a small part of your business. Make it a small part. If you're all in on Patreon, that's a problem. And then when it's time for something new on Patreon, when Patreon announces a new product, you better be looking at that very closely. Look and see if part of your intellectual property will be co-owned by Patreon, as they speculated. I didn't make that up. Jack said that himself. So just be very wary. If they come out with some sort of merch, something or other, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole unless I read that sucker up and down and left and right. And then consider alternatives. Patreon's not the only name out there. And for what it's worth, I'm going to keep my Patreon. I'm going to keep it, but I am a different type of user. Like, this is a hobby for me. Like, this isn't my income. Like, so like I have a little more leeway than I think some people do. So let's look at the alternatives. There is, all of these. So we have Subscribestar. This is exactly like Patreon. They are now hooked in with a payment processor called Payoneer. Gab, Memberful, and this isn't quite out yet, Drip, but Kickstarter's a big property. They're a fully built out website. They're going to do a Patreon thing called Drip, but it's not out yet that I know. And as I mentioned, PayPal has their own reoccurring payments, not a whole tier system, but at least it's something. And Bitcoin, cryptocurrency. And the reason I have this little 100% little percentage number there is there's no people taking, like, there's no middlemen with Bitcoin. It's 1-to-1. It's 100% of the transaction goes to you when you use cryptocurrency. Now, I know very little about cryptocurrency. I'm not an expert, but it's something to be seriously considered. And I happen to have a Subscribestar page. So if you go to subscribestar.com/awesomewiththings, there I am. So now I'm going to leave you with some other disturbing stuff. As if what I've had up until this point isn't disturbing enough. This is a similar topic. This isn't, well, it's related to, it's related to Patreon because MasterCard forced a Patreon user off of the Patreon platform, and the Patreon user had content about terrorist activities. It was very critical of the jihadist groups, and MasterCard said, Patreon, we're going to drop you if you don't boot that user off of Patreon. And Patreon either had to stop doing business with, so all patrons that paid with MasterCard would no longer have their payments go through for everyone on the system if they didn't drop. That's a real, it's all sourced. This is all news. This isn't speculation's over. And then you could also do a Google search. Google the term PayPal, Stripe, and Subscribestar in the same search results and read the news. And I have Patreon underneath here on purpose because the speculation is Patreon was behind the scenes for what happened in that news snippet. I'm not going to talk about that news snippet, but you might want to follow up with that. And those are two additional unscrupulous things, and that ends the presentation. This is a playlist of all things YouTube shows on awesome wood things. So there you go. That was not bad. It was I started at 10 after, so it's a 16-minute presentation. That's cool. I'm gonna maybe chop that up and just have that be a separate standalone video. Maybe if you thought that was interesting. What did you think? What did everyone think of that presentation? Did you learn something? Did you know everything I was saying? Tracy, you said something about $42, or was it just make your love of the number 42? Yeah, not quite sure about that, but so there you go. Isn't that freaky? I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't want to be alarmist. I'm not changing anything, but I'm not dropping off the platform. I'm not going to close my Patreon. I'm thankful I have patrons. I mean, they're up there in the scroll. I want them to continue to be patrons. But it just seems like, why did you need that much money? Why did you need $105.9 million to build a website with 300 employees? It seems excessive. What have they been doing with their money? Jets and, vacations? What? How do they spend that much money? I don't get it. And so that's why. I mean, the system should just run and run and run. Of course, have your accountants, have your marketing. You got to have some staff, but my goodness, you're not going to need to double your staff when you double the amount of transactions. And why character? I think they really want to be the MCM. So any financial transactions you do in whatever venue or they want part of it. Like, that's what they're thinking about. Oh, why would you pay Patreon? Now, Subscribestar is owned by a Russian individual. I mean, Russians are allowed to do business. They're not. It is a legit business, and then the guy is a legit person, but he is of Russian descent. But, it is what it is. I have software on my, I have like a web database development software app that is built by a Russian software company. And when I bought it, my bank said, "Is this legit?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really want to pay $300 to get the software." And but I'm just saying. But it is Payoneer's legit. Payoneer's the payment processor. I'm reading a comment here from Jim. Oh, okay. Jim has a comment about Bitcoin. Yeah, there's some intricacies of Bitcoin and some things you want to do and not do and when you play with Bitcoin. I'm not an expert. Essentially, don't lose your key or you lose the actual money. Yeah, and when you pass on, give it to someone. Simply Wooden Creations, that's Russ Clarity. He says, great information, Matt. Thank you very much. I'm glad. Oh, Rockin' Woodwork says, very well done. Excellent. Marcel's Workshop. Here we go. Marcel. Pseudo sponsor of Awesome Wood Things. He says, I liked it! Exclamation mark. Oh, Brenda G says, makes me glad I got off Patreon. Again, I don't want to... no rash decisions is kind of like the follow-up. Don't make crazy rash decisions. I follow the tech news. I'm interested in what companies do at a corporate level. It's just something I like, but just know that that's what they're doing. They're taking 10% and giving you 90, and they're calling that generous. Generous when there's a 2.9% solution already out there. Well, almost solution. I don't know. It just, if he didn't take so much seed money from investors, the A round, the B round, the C round, and then the initial funding, he wouldn't, Jack Conte, the CEO, would not be trying to think of these other ways to launch services to get more money out of you or to get ownership of your stuff. I can't believe that came out of his mouth. I cannot believe it. How does he think whatever service or product he offers is going to be worth you giving up ownership over your intellectual property, over the content you make? I don't get it. I don't get it. They don't see themselves on the pecking order where they need to be. And it's not a status thing. It's not, a big shot type. It's just, come on. You're the middleman. If I upset my fans won't support me. You don't step in and, play that game. So I don't know. They seem a little too big for their britches. They're playing this game where it's like, you're not all that, is what I'm saying. But again, I'm not changing it. I'm not discouraging it. I'm not dropping from the platform. I'm going to still encourage people to use that platform. But I'm also going to list them both. I'm going to say Patreon and Subscribestar. And maybe another one. There's another one in the works, too, that's being worked on. It hasn't been unveiled yet. It may not be. I think it will, but yeah. I want to know what Pat Lapp and so many others are going to think about it. Every day I think about what Pat Lapp is thinking about. I'm with you. That was Mama Bear She Shed. Tracy Keaton asked that question. Not just Sawdust is here. He says, or he or she's, yeah, he says, I will keep Patreon for now. I like my patrons. I get 90%, and that's in euros. But it's one of the ways to keep in touch with worldwide sponsors because for small channels, YouTube as well. Yes, fair points. Agree 100%. I'm doing the same. I'm keeping my patrons. I think it's a good platform. I don't think... I think the business wasn't run very well its first 5 years of existence. I really do. I think it was, I think they took on too much debt, and that's a problem. And now they're going to start figuring out ways to get more out of you. That shouldn't have to be. Paulcast, podcast. Marcel said that in the chat. There you go. Paulcast, podcast, baby. Matt, where can you get more information about the Paulcast, podcast? There is no place you can get more information about the Paulcast, podcast. Evan and Caitlin will both have to get jobs then. Will they? Evan and Caitlin could... You saw all those other alternatives. There's plenty of other alternatives. Patreon shuts down. It's a pain, but it will be survivable. And frankly, ask yourself that, and the slowness database issue, that was their official response, by the way. Okay, we took our site down. Our site was up and down for 4 days straight, and now payments are processing slower. Here's what happened. They said it was a database slowness issue. Don't worry. It was just one of our databases was acting slower. We weren't sure why, but now we figured it out. I'm like, could be true. I'm not saying it isn't. I'm not saying it is. Kind of sounds like they had money issues. I don't know. Billy Burt says he missed some of the show. You have to go back and watch it on rerun. Remember, when we're on rerun, it's not showing up on Awesome Wood Things. This goes unlisted. So you go to the playlist that I have, or you can go to Patreon and Subscribestar and see a public list of all of these shows. You do not have to subscribe. You don't have to give money on either Subscribestar or Patreon, but it's just an easy way to catch up on shows. Super Chat's active. These lights will fire if Super Chats come in. Turn on the blue one, turn on the blinky, turn on the green one, turn on the red one, and those amounts. I think that's kind of fun. If Super Chats come in. And, I have some old Super Chatters. These were Super Chatters from last week. Zero those out. Thank you to Osprey Mama, Farmall, and Marcel's Workshop for last week's Super Chats. I appreciate that. And I hope you like the slides, and I hope people who get to catch this show after it's over, because I should have been editing video, but I'm like, no, I want to make this cool slide deck. But, I'm going to publish the slide deck after the show goes off the air, and you can share it around. I'll make it public. I'll lock it so you can't make changes, but you'll be able to view it and share it, and do whatever you want to with it. I'm just going to take out the transitions. Like if a slide took 7 frames to build to the last one, like I'll just give you the last one, because technically that was 89 slides, but it was only about 25 concepts or something like that. So. Yeah. Oh, there's Osprey Mama. I was just talking about you. Were your ears ringing? Yes. I think you got 3 new videos up there since you've been doing about 1 video a week. That's on Osprey Mama channel. That's good. And don't feel like you have to. You know what? Hey, don't feel like you've got to give super chats or be patrons. My stuff is 100% free. You want to support, you support. That's great. I appreciate it. It does help, but never feel obligated. At least not with me. That's not what I'm about. I'm doing this for fun. Trying to build it into something where it can be sort of a pseudo business, because that's fun too. But all my stuff's 100% free. Sounds like I missed some good stuff, Matt. Yes, you did. You missed some good stuff. But you can go back, catch it on rerun, and I have a slide deck. Lots of fun. Yes. Next week, we're going to have a special guest on the show. Mr. Mark Lindsay will be here, and he and I are going to talk about the Google Trends product. So Google, Google has Gmail, Google has YouTube. We all know about YouTube. That's what we're on right now. Google Docs. Google has a big they also have a product called Trends, and it can help your YouTube game, and we're going to talk about that. Mark's not an expert. I'm not an expert, but it's pretty cool, and that will be next week's show. I'll drop the link now. Next week's show. Al says, you know what they say when we put 2 experts together? What do they say, Al? He's telling me in my ear. Oh, the punchline is you've got 2 experts together. Oh, Al. Al. Al, should I follow that one up? The last one was pretty mediocre. All right, Al's telling me, do I know the definition of an expert? I do, but I guess I should say I don't know. Tell me what the definition of an expert is. Oh, God. Al, you're killing me. Frankie says, anyone watch the Red Green Show back in the day? I don't. Apparently I didn't, so. Yes. All right, let's do some other fun things here. So, yeah, look what I noticed. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Give me a second here. Changing some things up. All right, there we go. We need more cowbell. Oh, there's Osprey Mama. She'd come through with Super Chat. Thank you. Yeah, good timing. She knows when to hit it, you know, in the transitions of the show. Yes, Osprey Mama. There we go. That's Osprey Mama's YouTube channel. Thank you for that. And we'll put you up there on the Super Chatter list. Yes. All Super Chatters get to remain on the screen for the remainder of the show. And appreciate that. We turn on the red one. There we go. I like the red. Send you the link. Send you link. Awesome Wood Things. Oh, sent me a link. Okay. Let me see what you sent me. Where did you send it to me at? Just subscribe to Frankie CNC and Woodworking channel, says Simply Wood and Creation. That's awesome. That's kind of like support. And that's what Brenda and I do on her support stream called Mind Equals Blown. Ow, you're killing me. What did she say when someone rings a bell, someone at YouTube wets the bed? Did I get that right, Brenda? You set me straight there, Brenda G from Brenda G's Designs. Yeehaw, she says. I think she's a little behind time. Yeah. Ooh, look at this. Pleated woodpecker close-up male stares me down. Whoa, while foraging. I'm sorry, folks. I got to take a peek at this. This guy looks really cool. Oh, look at that thing. Osprey Mama, you've outdone yourself. That video is crystal clear. I can count the little feather strands. Are you using a better camera? You're doing something really awesome there that I don't think I've seen much. Kudos to you. Look at that. And all that movement in the background, it's nice and not pixelated. Wow. Oh, baby. I'm digging it. Okay. I did want to show you guys something here. Okay, so look what I noticed on my analytics. Oh, and I got sort of a small screen. That's okay. Yeah, look at this. Let me go back 90 days. So notice this area here. Let me see if my little magnifier will work. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so notice this area here. We're kind of above the gray line on average. Now, these are my spikes because I do the live shows. But, like, ignoring the spikes, like, we're right about on that gray line for a good couple weeks, month or so. And then look. Well, I had a video blow up, thankfully. Now, look at this. Boom. Hard drop off. Like, I am, like, not tracking. I know that looks like a small dip, but it's not that small. Well, I guess it's, well, hundreds. So let's look. There's 1,100, and this average was about, Oh, it was over 1,000 more views. So on average, I'm down 1,000 views. Isn't that crazy? But I haven't published since, well, the 25th. That was a long time ago. So the big spike was my scroll saw maintenance video. And this was from Mr. Steve Good. Steve Good put me on his blog. Yes, a .com website threw that traffic my way. It wasn't Instagram. It wasn't Facebook. It wasn't Twitter. Scrollsawworkshop.blogspot.com. That was it right there. Isn't that cool? So look, I've noticed a sustainable drop in views of 1,000 views a day. Around 1,000, 900, 800, 1,000, 1,100. I gotta get my video game back up. Faux show. And if for some of the newcomers, the news was interesting. I'll just recap it quickly for a second time. Sorry if you heard this already, but Reddit did an AMA. The developers, the engineering team of YouTube did a Reddit AMA and Ask Me Anything, and they confirmed thumbnails and titles. That's the key to get people to click. They also confirmed the best thing you can do is make videos people will watch, keep watching, and come and will entice them to stay on the platform. How do they say it? Content that satisfies and keeps them coming back. And the newest revelation is, and this goes a counter to what I've said before, to what others have said and myself, is you can change any piece of metadata at any time, and just the act of you changing it will not harm you. If your change is better, you'll do better. If your change is worse, you'll do worse. If your change is the same, you'll do this. But just the thought was, if you change your description, it'll put on the brakes and it will reevaluate everything and kind of get you back on that track. So that was straight from the YouTube developer's mouth, sort of an insight into the algorithm that people have only been kind of in a roundabout way coming to hypothesis and theories and things. Like now we got it confirmed. Marcel's leaving later, eh? Or he's saying bye to someone. Oh, Marcel's got a split. Have a night. You got it, Marcel. Marcel's Workshop. Find him on the YouTubes. Yeah. There we go, folks. What else we want to talk about? Oh, I did get that message from Frankie. Okay, let's see what he says here. Frankie sent the link. Frankie, what do you got for me here? The Red Green Show. Oh, no. Do I want to show this? What do we got going on here? How long is this video? 22-minute video. I can't watch 22-minute video. Oh, bummer. All right, I will look at the redgreen.com video after the show. Mark Lindsay's here. He says, "Did I miss it?" You missed it, sir. And just a reminder, Mark, we're going to try and have you on next week to talk about Google Trends. Russ says Mark is a day late and $1 short. Oh, Russ. What are we going to do with you? Here we go. Anyone want to do a channel review? I haven't done one of those in a while. I think I did most people that are in here. Well, it's 1 a.m. here in Portugal. Workshop waiting at 7. So, bon up. Noity. Good night, not just sawdust. Thank you for stopping by. Mark says, "I'll be there!" Exclamation mark. There you go. Mark gave me an exclamation mark. What did he miss? We miss. Oh, Chris Nealon's here. Chris, I went over a slide deck about Patreon and some strategies to go forward, and I uncovered a lot of weird and disturbing things that are happening at the corporate level of Patreon. So copy this URL of this show page and come back to it later. Or you can go to my playlist that has all of my All Things YouTube shows in it and rewatch it through the playlist because it's unlisted. But when it's in a playlist, you can see it, even though it's unlisted. Or you can go to Patreon or Subscribestar/AwesomeWoodThings and see a public list of all old shows. You cannot find the old shows on the front page of my channel on Awesome Wood Things because I have it unlisted. I try and purposely kind of pseudo hide it so I can keep my channel woodworking related because that's what I do. And YouTube is part of woodworking, or at least in my world. So in my mind, there's some overlap and it makes sense, but I try and keep it separate. Can you review my channel, Matt? Says Mark Lindsay. Sure. I can review Mark's channel. Oh, Chris Nealon's not on Patreon yet. Okay, well, it's a good platform. Has some corporate problems. Check out my show. Oh, you know what? Hold on a second. I'm gonna make everyone dizzy here. I'm not showing all of my screen apparently. Sorry about this. There we go. That's a little better. Make myself a little smaller. Well, Mark, did you have a new banner? Look at that. New banner. I don't remember that. Looks good. You got your insert. Oh, check it out. The Google Plus link is gone. All Google Plus is being stripped off the platform as they sunset it. Everyone used to have a Google Plus little link up there. Oh man, this is real tiny too. I should change my... Okay, so let's look at your front page, uploads, playlists, popular. I'm a big fan of the popular grouping. Never hurts. Al says too bad about Google Plus not catching on. What community posts do you have, Mark? Oh, look at this. All right, so good. You've got some engagement on the community tab. That's good. Let's look at your about. 4 sentences. Oh, you got to put your Amazon thing in there. Get that. Tell people you're on eBay. Yep. Okay. A goofball with a bunch of benchtop power tools and a homemade CNC router. I like it. Let's look at some of your videos now. Well, I did watch your 5 gig. Mark has the giveaway, folks. He's giving away some merch. So watch his video there, and you could do that. Now, these are your... Now, are you starting to post non-tutorial videos? Because I think you were at one time. You did a channel update. Let me look at one. Now this is a 50-minute video almost.
Hey y'all, welcome to part 2 of this mini series on bitmap tracing and node editing. In this video, we're going to get a little bit more.
Let's see. I think there's a comment about keeping who you're subscribed to private. One of the trolls that follow me was trolling the channels I also watch. Ooh, that's weird. Yeah, I had my subscriptions private for a while, but I flipped it back to public. You know, whatever. Well, Mark, I can see you're using... Is this... I would take a guess and say this is Camtasia. Do you use Camtasia to get that little yellow highlight on your cursor? I really like that.
Yes,
I never could figure that out.
for tracing. Now, if you did not see
Oh, Frankie says he should do a video about his DIY table. Or he's asking, should I do a video about my DIY table saw?
you can take a look at that series.
Sure.
End screen to this video.
I did a DIY router table. Go for it. I'm very safety conscious when you put a all wood a wooden tabletop surface.
Link
Yeah.
to
There's some
with our bitmap selected.
Mark, with this type of content being a learning type content, the thing is, are you speaking clear? Is the volume okay? Is what you're showing on screen clear? I mean, I think you're nailing it there. I mean, you're at 1080p. That's what you sometimes need for this type of content, because you could need to see some of the smaller detail, so you'll need a lot of pixels. The volume sounds pretty on point. I doubt you've closed captioned it, because that would be just insane. Did you?
Since this is a color image, I'm going to go ahead and show you a basic method in how
Oh,
to
look at this. Dot, dot, dot.
the color bitmap tracing type.
In my opinion, and my estimate, my guess is the system doesn't put dot, dot, dot in. That looks like it was manually typed. Did you manually type or manually confirm a 48-minute video of closed captioning? Oh, Mark even says, check out the closed captions. I didn't even see your comment, and I went right to it. I use Flashback Express to screen capture. Okay, good to know. I'm going to remember that. Thank you, Mark. Mark, you did, didn't you? You closed captioned this, you crazy, crazy dog. That's been one of my pieces of advice for a long time, is to close caption your stuff. First of all, YouTube loves it. They'll feel much more confident showing your video to non-English speaking viewers who, because if you edited the closed captioning, they'll know it's more stable, and they'll auto change it into Spanish or another language and present it. Mark actually was telling, I was on a hangout with him, and he was saying that one of his viewers requested that he start closed captioning because she wanted to engage in the content and she was having a hard time, and he started doing it, and he's like, well, more people than just her are going to use it, and he's absolutely right. He says, I edit all those closed captions. Amazing. My saw is a bit more than a circular saw screwed to plywood. Thank goodness, Frankie, because, I am the last person to be a safety police officer, but in my mind, I don't always. And my deal is, everyone has to find their own level of safety, and everyone needs to be responsible for their own safety, and they can make their own choices, but it doesn't mean in my mind I don't scream sometimes, but sounds like. And Frankie did show me still images of his setup off of the show, and it looks pretty robust and pretty legit, and it's pretty exciting too. Like I said, I've made my own tools. I've made my own router table, and I love it. So I'm all for it. Wow. Mark, look at this. This is a rather cool design you got here. That's some pretty cool stuff. Jim says, I've been trying to close caption my videos since Matt said all the cool kids do it. Yeah. Mine are easy to close caption since I don't say a word in any videos. See, YouTube does like people to talk. And you know what they don't like? They don't like robotic, non-human voices. They'll promote you less. That's considered low quality content to YouTube. They've said it on camera. So channels that have like a slideshow and have an auto-generated voice speaking, they don't like it. They like human spoken language. I think I closed captioned mine. This is Osprey Mama. I put it on my settings. Don't know if I did it right. You put it on your settings. Well, everything will be auto closed captioned by the YouTube system. So they'll throw on their best guess. And I don't think you can turn it off. But what I recommend you do is you use their auto generated stuff and you correct it. And just the act of correcting it will give it more value in YouTube's eyes. And then they'll be more likely to push it out to, they'll be more likely to recommend it overall. And they'll be more likely to auto translate it to another language and recommend it to non-English speaking viewers. I take the automatically generated closed captions, then edit them, says Mark Lindsay. That's exactly what I do. Exactly what I do. I don't close caption my live streams. They just go right up. I don't have time for that. Since they're unlisted anyway. So what did I do? Mark, okay. Channel review. Going good here, brother. I'm impressed. Again, this is a 50-minute video. From what I've seen, I don't have any issues with this type of training material. It sounded like your pace was good. There wasn't any dead air that I noticed. That's good. The volume was clear. The number of pixels were clear. That's good. You've got it down. And YouTube has gone on record in saying they want more training, learning content. They're passionate about that, and they're giving it extra promotion stuff. So, Mark, that's what your content is. They want YouTube to be a place of learning, and most of this content is, if not all of it, is that. What other types of videos? Channel. I think I may have even reviewed this video once before. So here's your.
Specifically for the channel.
See, this type of content, your channel updates. Holy cow, Mark! You've got 1 minute, 2 minute, 5 minute, 6, 7. You've got 7 3/4 minutes of just you talking. That's not good. Always put something on the screen like this or this. Things need to change. Yeah, and now you get into showing some different things. That's good. Yeah. So some of these talking head videos, it's too much talking head without any other action on the screen. That would be another tip I would pass on. What do you think about those thumbnails, huh? Yeah. Ain't no problems with the thumbnails. You know me. Consistent branding, I like. Readable text, I like. Text not in the lower right, I like. I can forgive this up here. Oh, you're jumping off, Jim? Thanks for stopping by, Mr. Jim Dockrell. Oh, is it maybe podcast live? What are they doing on a Monday night? Are they Monday night? Thought they were Sunday. Yep. I don't know. Well, I'm trying to say something about the fonts of the thumbnails because, are the fonts consistent enough? I'm not going to call them out. I mean, here you've got the same font, different colors. That's fine. Here you've got some tips and tricks as more like a display. It's almost like a graphic, even though it is text. This text a little, I don't know, maybe kind of. make your fonts a little more consistent. Their typography. This is a lot of text on the screen down here. These are probably older videos, 5 months ago. But yeah, it looks like big improvement. Big improvement. I can't say many bad things about the fonts on the thumbnails. I like the colors. The colors are clear, um, and vibrant in most cases. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yep. For that type of content, I do thumbnails. I'm digging them. Oh, I don't have my little face on the screen. I am digging the thumbnails. Osprey Mama's got to go. And I think we're going to wrap up this show as well. Thank you, Osprey Mama. I appreciate you stopping by, everyone. I appreciate everyone stopping by. So, pass the show on to others, folks. There was a lot of good news about Patreon, or a lot of news that was good news to hear. I don't know if it was all good news. A lot of awesome information about Patreon I think others should have, so please feel free to pass this around. And Al, thank you for the help through Discord. Kilroy79763 on Twitch. Go check him out. He does it just for fun. That's his slogan. He's a Odessa Woodworking and Maker Shop on YouTube. Next time I'm on Russ's show, I'm gonna say I'm Matt Haas 79763. You can find me on Brenda G's Designs. Mind equals blown, baby. Thursdays. Catch me over there with Miss Brenda G from Brenda G's Designs. Go blow your mind. Support stream. It's gonna blow up. It's getting more and more people every week. I'm telling you, that Brenda's going places. That was a smart business move on my side. I'm hitching my wagon to her rising star. She's gonna take over the interwebs with all of her crafty goodness. All right, folks, we'll leave it here. Thank you. Remember, go find all of the stuff on Patreon and Subscribestar. Links to the show because they're unlisted on Awesome Wood Things. And the next show is on the 18th. And I'll drop a link before I go. You can go set that reminder. Mr. Mark Lindsay will be with me. We'll talk about Google Trends and how Google Trends can boost your YouTube channel. And, of course, we'll have the news of the week. Pass that along right from the developers of YouTube itself. Valentine's Day fun. That's right. Thursday is Valentine's Day. My wife works second shift, so I have the showtime free for Mind Equals Blown. All right, folks. Now I got to get back to my stop button. There we go. I see the stop button. All right, guys. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you. We'll see you next time. Peace out.